Have you ever wondered whether you should have Lifesteal, Mana Steal, Siphon, or any other crappy enchants that conflict on your Hyperion, or which one you should have out of all of them? Well, today I'm going to be going over all the enchants you should and should not have on the Hyperion, specifically for right-click mage damage. One thing I should quickly clarify is that all of the information for this video was got from a forum post I made a couple months ago with the help of one of my co-op members, PK Willow. If you want to know more about the forum post or want to see it yourself, it is linked in the description. Almost all of the things in this forum post relate to just about every facet of mage damage. So if you're using a Spirit Scepter, a Midas Staff, basically everything in here is also applicable. Also, if you don't want to deal with any of the smaller bits and pieces of this and the technicalities, you can skip to this part of the video right now. I'll be flashing on the screen to skip directly to the does and don't work part. Now, to get straight to it, you can see here on the screen everything in the does work section should just work, and everything in the doesn't work section doesn't work. Now, that works except for the ones that are clarified with stars next to them, like Critical, Champion, and down here we have stuff like Venomous, Cleave, and all these other ones that have other bonuses. They're clarified down here, but if you don't want to go to the forum post and read it yourself, that's why I'm here. So, basically, Cubism, Prosecute, Execute, Enderslayer, Smite, Impaling, Giant Killer, Scavenger, Divine Gift, Vampirism, Titan Killer, and Bane of Arthropods all work without zero issues with Hyperion mage damage. Now first, Critical. It has a star next to it because magic damage does not scale on crit damage at all. There is no connection there. It doesn't matter how high your crit damage is, it isn't going to have any effect on the magic output damage you have. Because of intelligence scaling and ability damage, crit damage and strength don't really have any applicable thing to right-click mage damage. Of course, that is not entirely true with left mage beam stuff in dungeons, but for right-click mage damage, it has no effect. However, it still does have an impact on Hyperion specifically, because of the Wither Impact ability to make a shield and do all the healing stuff. It is very important to increase your crit damage when you have a Hyperion. Now, as for Champion, it's a little bit different. Since the last time I updated the forum post, I actually learned that the combat experience does work. There is no might not. There's also this here, the coins after second hit. That part, I still don't know, I'll be honest, I haven't figured that one out. And the experience orb does seem to work. So 2/3 of Champion seems to be effective for Hyperion. Now onto the doesn't work section. You can see here there's a couple in the doesn't work that still have the stars on them, even though they're in the doesn't work section. I put them here even though they might have some technicality at work that gives you a little bit of a boost, but not much. First on the list would be Venomous, and that's simply because I can't figure out whether or not the slowness part of the enchant actually works. The damage over time doesn't, but the slowness might. Now on to one of the most interesting enchants of the entire video, Tabasco. Now, Tabasco is a simple enchant that gives you +3 weapon damage at max when you have no Dragon Pet equipped. Now, that does sound like it would work, but it actually doesn't. I only learned this through a lot of testing and like turning off on my Dragon Pets and taking on and off the enchantment. But basically, the weapon damage applies to the top number of the weapon. So when you're looking at the weapon, it says damage, it says all the other stats under it. When you're looking there, it shows it there. But that damage is only for physical melee damage. That damage number doesn't affect magic damage, or at least right-click mage damage. Now on to Cleave. That enchantment is just kind of bad in my opinion. Sometimes it can be nice when you're killing a bunch of low-level enemies, and it sounds like it'd be really nice on hype, but I can't figure out if it works or not. And there was one more section that I did not talk about when I was listing that does and doesn't work up here, and that was the not tested section. I'm not a god. I can't do everything. There's 5 enchants on here that I didn't bother testing because they're a pain to test, or I don't want to pay money. So if anyone wants to go finish that out and help in the comments with deciphering whether or not these ones have any effect on Hyperion, Be my guest. And now we're at the part I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Now, if I were to recommend enchants and levels that you should all hit, after learning all the information from this video, or at least all the information I just said, this is probably what you should aim for. I know I said that most of these are untested or don't work. It's still worth getting them if you're going to be using, you know, hype for other things, or in dungeons, or any number of other things. Plus, I honestly just recommend you get the basic levels of all of these, except maybe these, but these are like 15k, man. Like, this is garbage. This is chump change. Even a homeless man can afford this. Either way, these are the ones you really want to worry about. They're expensive, but they're also well worth it. I hope this helps.